Alright, well, even though I have 0 life, they only have 1 card in hand, and yeah, I got quite a lot of counters. 3 bends and bunch 2Ks. Unless they draw that 1 card, even though they have femurs, I'm not gonna die. Alright, so it's my turn. Restand. You have 4 down open, 0 life. Draw. Oh, that is not a bad card. Alright, I'll just play the pudding. Yeah, pudding, man. Alright, let's give it a good shuffle. See what we hit. Cut. Alright, so now that you're down to 5 cards, Rust 2, Femur, 16 lead. Do you have it? Alright, well, 16, right? Let's hope I got some counters. Oh, this is not bad. Alright. Yeah, I'll Rust 3 for 3 events. That's 12 plus 5. That's 17 to me, and I have 4k more. I guess I win. Alright, 5 fresh cards. Hopefully I get some counters. Let's see. Well, I only got 3k counters. That's not enough. I guess I just die. This game. Well, I hope you enjoyed that short little clip. Thanks my Luffy and my Pikachu acting as my opponent. I'm sure some of y'all may have been on the side or on the opposite side of this pudding card, so you can very much understand my sentiment, why is it frustrating on either side. So, in this video, I'm just going to talk all about this pudding. I'm going to talk about why is it good, why is it bad, why is it a problem, and how to fix it, potentially. Very quickly, what this pudding does, just somehow if you don't know, it's a 4 cost, 4k counter blue card. 4 cost, 4000 power, 1k counter blue card. On play, your opponent return all cards in their hand to their deck and draw 5, regardless of the number of cards in their hand. That's what it does. Sounds simple enough. Why is it made, and why is it important in the game? In OPO2, all the way in OPO2, this red Newgate, I actually wasn't playing at the time, but I've seen how it's played. How this red Newgate works, especially, I mean, and that was also a problem, but especially for this Newgate, their game plan is to camp a bunch of cards in their hand, and then later on just counter out and survive because the leader is big. They have all these counter events. When you're sitting on the other side of this Newgate, you can't do anything. You just look at them, have 10 cards in hand, they look at you, you can't do anything. And that was by far the strongest deck at the time. And I'm pretty sure that is the inspiration why they made this pudding. To combat against exactly deck like this, you need to have some way of hand control. Because otherwise, there's no maximum hand size in this game. You can just have as many cards as you want. So that's why they say, okay, you know what? A card like pudding should exist to combat against deck like these. Okay, so I know I complain a lot about this pudding card, and when I talked about these with my friends or people, some people just like, hey Joe, you're just a BY player. You don't know there's downside of playing pudding. So here I am, for my friends who are watching. I just want to let you know I recognize pudding. There is a downside to play it. There are some weaknesses to this card. Very quick. Why some weaknesses? Let's start with the obvious one. It's a bad card of weaker player's hand. Why do I say that? There are specific windows and specific time and situation that you should play pudding. You shouldn't play it all the time. I have definitely played against opponent that have pudding me 2 or even 3 times and I still win the game. Because pudding it's a balanced card if you're not using it right, but it's a very unbalanced card when you do. I'll explain it later. So it's a bad card in the weaker player's hand. The other one is, this kind of goes hand in hand wise in the weaker player's hand, it's a 4 Dawn 4000 power character. So it's a weaker character because generally it's a 4 Dawn for 5000 or now even 6000 character. So you're not playing a strong character. It's a weak character, right? Either you play on curve or play it later on. Generally, when you're on 10 Dawn, you want to play 10 Dawn character, 8 for 8, 7 for 7, so on and so forth. If you're on 10 Dawn, you spend 4 Dawn to play the pudding, you only have 6 Dawn left. Your turn is going to be more mediocre than not, right? So, the fact that you spend your turn to play the pudding, if it doesn't have a game warping type of effect, then this pudding card is actually setting you back. So, there are actually situations where when I play the game, I deliberately take life in a way to like, hey, you know what? I dare you to pudding me, because I know when they pudding me, they develop a weak character. They're not progressing with their game plan, and it's actually good for me, at the expense of me losing 2 or even 3 cards, right? So that's the pudding weaknesses. Some people don't see that, and they just like, oh my god, resetting opponent's hand is so good. But they just don't see like some downside of associated to playing pudding. Okay, so why is pudding too strong, in my opinion? Okay, so first, the card effect itself. I mean, duh. The card effect itself reads: you shuffle your hand to your deck. Your opponent shuffled their hand to their deck, and draw 5 fresh cards. It's completely random. Completely random. They can develop a game plan and just draw 5 cards that's completely irrelevant and like not on curve or whatever, and they just lose. Or it can be in the situation that I displayed in the clip where they play it, your opponent just don't draw any counter, and they just die. The card effect is very strong in the right situation, for sure. Secondly, this is, if not the strongest part about the card pudding, okay? It's the intangible value. And this is what defines a good player or not. So what I mean here is any card, if it's a strong card, so that's why I put the Roger and the Kid here, is there are cards here that when they work, they're like just the exact card you need is like 100 out of 10. Like in the case of Roger, if you're at 0 life, you play this and then you just win the game, right? And the Kid is kind of the similar idea. Is like when I have 0 life, I play the Kid, I have 10 cards in hand, I'm like, haha, I just laugh at you, right? Defending a Kid instead of my leader. So same thing with pudding. Pudding is a card where you don't need to play it, and just like these Roger and Kid, you don't need to play it. The fact that your opponent like they can have it, like when I think about playing a Roger, right? I'm like, I don't want to put him to 0 because if they have Roger, I just die. Same thing with Kid. I put him down to low life. They play, I just die, right? It's the same thing with pudding. They don't need to play it. They just have to like be a blue deck. When they're a blue deck, I just have to be like, oh, if they're pudding, I can just die because I can just shuffle my handful of cards and I just lose. So I have to play around it. So how do I play around it? I play around it. Normal best way to play around it is to spend the cards in your hand or play it on the field, right? So, yeah, play on the field. Like obviously that's a way to play around pudding, but sometimes it can get removed or whatnot. That's a separate discussion. When it's the part about countering that actually makes such a big difference. I mean, not just BY Luffy. I mean that is a big deal to me. But think about like when you have, let's say, 7 cards. There are so many times you can. There's countless time you can have 7 cards in hand. You have 3-1K. Let's say you have no 2K. Your opponent attack you for 7. Right. Just think about this situation. Right. You have no 2K. You have 6 cards, 7 cards in hand. Your opponent attack you for 7. And they have 4 down open. All right, just think about the situation, okay? How many times you decide to give 3-1Ks? Because you're like, oh, if I take that life, I have 8 cards, your opponent putting me, then I lose 3 cards, right? And that's really bad for me. Okay, that's one outcome. Versus, they attack me for 7. I like, okay, well, I guess I'll give 3-1Ks. So what's 7 minus 3? That's 4. Okay, I lose down to 4 cards. Didn't I effectively just got pudding? Right? So what I'm trying to say is they don't even need to have the card. Okay, they can just play it face up. Like, okay, I have pudding. What are you gonna do, right? The outcome for what I just explained ends up to be the same. That's how strong pudding is. They don't need to play it. They don't even need to play it. They just need to be a blue deck. Then you just have to respect it. Okay, so I mean, that's just one common situation. There's so many other situations where you just like throughout the game, you have to like count number of cards in your hand. You have to counter weird. You have to defend your character weird. You can't just play a regular game because you have to think at any time if they pudding, I can just be screwed. Okay, well, like again, they don't even need to have it. Okay, I mean, they're not playing face up, so you just look at them at a blue deck. They have four dawn open. Oh, they can have pudding. Okay, that's the intangible value, and that's by far why the card is so strong. Okay, it just warps how you play the game, and you don't even need to play it. And lastly, lastly, it's a pretty big point too. Why is it strong too? It's a 1K counter available for all blue decks. Like, it's just okay. There is no downside. What I'm trying to say here is there's no downside to put that card in your deck. Is what I'm saying. Any blue deck right now, they run at least two. Like it just like for all the good effect that I just mentioned, the intangible value, like how it warps the game, how it can just close out the game, all these power combined, there's no downside to play it, and there's no restriction to play it. If you're a blue deck, please add it in. It's a 1K counter at worst, so think about it. You spend your whole game, play around pudding, and you're pointing to that boom, 1K counter. Okay. Right? There's no downside to play it. That's a very big deal to me. Like it's a generic, powerful effect that you can't do anything about. Oh, and one more point I probably should add here is the player who has pudding in hand, the onus is on them to play or not. The person sitting on the other side of pudding, uh, they can't do anything. They can just sit there and hope you don't play it, hope that you don't have it, or if you have it, they can only pray that you don't have the where you draw the right cards. It's not like other card game where there's like counter spell. If they have like a game breaking type of spell, you can like leave a mana to counter it. No, in this game you can't respond and counter a card like pudding. You can only hope they don't have it, or if they have it, you can only hope you draw the right cards, which is dumb. Like the player on the other side of pudding just have no control of their destiny whatsoever. I mean, yeah, that's why it makes the card pudding strong. And why is it becoming a problem? So pudding has been there since OPO6. I will say it's a necessary evil, in a sense. People say the card is balanced because of like the downside I mentioned. You put you down to 5 cards, and when you play it, you're not developing. But right now, especially in the Boa deck, it's being abused in a way where they play it to reset your hand and go exactly what happened in the clip. Femur, 16 phase, 0 life. Chances are you're gonna die. Like, if you don't lucky and luck out with all counter events or a bunch of 2Ks, like, you're just gonna die. So, it's it's played in a way where to finish off your opponent in a way they can't react to it and respond to it at all, and also just super random. Like it's look, I played total of 6 boas in Nats, 4 boas in the main event, and with a game that came down to pudding roulette, there were 3 games if I recall correctly. So they basically just pudding and some ways of femur and see if I have it or not. So there was one game I had it. That game was kind of interesting because they had the pudding, but they didn't femur, I think, or they played it. I kind of get it mixed up, but I was like in main event I was 1 out of 2 with the whole femur thing. So point aside is it's a clear play pattern in the end for especially that Boa deck that they play the pudding and play femur. So it's like it's not really why the card pudding was designed. this whole spirit of why the card putting was there is to combat against deck that's like camping a big hand, not to like just leave the game up to a dice roll, because that's what was happening. Like both players know exactly what's happening. We just like, okay, well, I mean, I can only hope they don't have it, but obviously they draw so many cards they're gonna have it. So they play pudding, they play femur, and then both of us just can only pray. And we just look at top five and pray. And either way, someone's gonna feel bad because the game's just decided by luck at that point, which is stupid. Okay, and that's why it's a problem. All right, so what are my proposed fixed to this pudding card? So I think this card or some way of form of this type of effect should be in the game because we don't want decks like just camp a million cards in hand. That's toxic as well. Like you need to have some sort of hand disruption to combat against decks like those to just balance it out, right? So I highlighted the first line because that's what I think is the best fix, personal opinion. So what I have here is you bottom deck or discard. I think bottom deck probably make a little more sense just because it's blue. Or you can just give this type of effect to all the color. That would be fair too. I'll be more down for that too. But okay, let's stick to let's say if the pudding and the errata it. I would say bottom deck until you have five cards. So why do I say that is because the opposing player the player that's against the pudding you still can play around it in a way like you don't just you don't just live off the mercy at the top of your deck and just all luck, right? Like you have some way of control of how do you want to be pudding. You don't want to camp like 10 cards in your hand, so when you get pudding you bottom five you still lose a lot of value, but at least you have some semblance of control of your destiny. The game has some skill. Okay, it's not just all luck, and that's why I put it there. Secondly, I put change to a no trigger event. So what I mean here is instead of a character, I'll propose a change to an event and it has no trigger. What it does here is make it have a downside to play the card. It's not just free. Obviously, it's still kind of free in the ace deck, the blue red ace, but for any other deck, if they want to play a card like pudding, there's gonna be a cost to it. When they draw it and it's not the card that they need at that moment, it's just gonna be a complete brick in their hand. I think it's warranted for an effect this strong. It should not be just free. Third is a randomly bottom deck until you have five. So this is interesting, I think. I personally, okay, I personally not the biggest fan of these random effects. So the few random effect came into mind is like the ACOS show, which is a card I did like play, but whatever. And the four cost blocker discard law, which is discard two at random. But these two cards you can kind of play around them because Isho is like you have to have six or more cards, and the law is seven or more cards, and those are discard two at random. So here it says bottom deck till you down to five. So imagine the situation that I showed when I have eight cards and all counter and three cards are events. You discard three at random. So this again to give the player against the pudding have some way to counterplay it, which is just have the sheer quantity of the good cards, so you don't get punished as hard by pudding. Well, that's an idea. I still like the first idea a little more, just cause give the player some, just just give the player like again the the reason why pudding was designed is to combat against the quantity of the number of cards that the opponent's abusing. So pudding will just set things back to equal. It's not to just randomly and just hope the opponent blanks and just dies. So I personally don't like the too random. The effect being too random, I still don't like. But at least it's better than what it is now, number three. Lastly, this is kind of an interesting one. I don't think this is possible, but at least it'll immediately address the femur problem, which is Uh, if they play a card like pudding, you cannot attack your opponent's leader this turn. So I think this is interesting because uh, that basically makes your opponent play pudding in a way like they play it, and your opponent has still have a turn at least to counterplay around that, right? So counterplay around like the random cards you got. It's not just you got random cards and does it have trick, does it have counter or not, right? Your opponent has a turn to like react to the pudding result, not just have no chance to respond at all. So that's an idea, but I think that's like a little too random. So I don't think that's gonna be happening. So I'll say this fix, and that's it. So that's all my overall take on this pudding card. I personally think this card should get some sort of change. But what do you think, right? Are you on my boat on saying this card should still be in the game in a way of form that deserves some sort of change, or you think this card just should just be gone completely, just come get banned, or you just love blue, you're a blue player, you like all your puddings. So what do you think? Leave in the comment section. All right, well, I hope you like this video. Yeah, ban list is coming. We'll see how it goes. I'll see you next time.